All right. Welcome to the Mental Cost of Entrepreneurship Summit. Of course, for those of you some of you already know who I am, right? I am your host, 𝗕𝗂𝗍𝗶. For those of you who are new to me or new to the platform, I am a psychotherapist and a business coach. And in those capacities, I help entrepreneurs create harmony in their life and business through personal development, mental wellness, as well as creating sustainable business practices. But today, y'all, we are closing out not only just Small Business Month, many of y'all may already be familiar with that, but May also is Mental Health Awareness Month. And certainly, as a psychotherapist and business coach, this is something that's near and dear to my heart. And a matter of fact, I created the Mental Cost of Entrepreneurship platform about 5 years ago, a little over 5 years ago. And at that time, I was going through it, y'all, going in the trenches, as they say, okay, going through the trials and the tribulations of building my mental health practice. And I recently shared a few months ago in volume 2 of my book, The Mental Cost of Entrepreneurship, how that journey led me from burnout to breakthrough. And based on so many discussions that I have had with other entrepreneurs, business owners, and business leaders, I know that I am not alone. So, thus, I am here today with an amazing, y'all, an amazing trailblazing lineup of expert panelists, everyone, of course, with their own unique story. But they're going to share with you insights, tips, and strategies so that you can not only elevate your life, but your business as well. So grab your business bestie, grab your homeboy, grab your mama, your cousin, them, grab everybody, okay? And invite them to join us today for the Mental Cost of Entrepreneurship Summit. Take a look at this brief video, and when we return, we're going to start with our first 4 panelists. Stay tuned. All right, we are back and we're live with 4 of our amazing panelists today for part 1 of the Mental Cost of Entrepreneurship Summit. So I'm going to let each panelist introduce himself or herself to the Visionary Conversations with 𝗕𝗂 audience. So let's start actually with Mr. Marvin McQueen.
Hello, everyone. Hello. I am very, very happy to be a part of just all of these celebrities. I'm going to call them celebrities because you never know who stays next door to you. You never know the gift that somebody has. And so I'm grateful for being here. Marvin McQueen II, just as Shayna had said, I am the founder and CEO of the Creating Change Group. And I get the opportunity to be a resource for personal and professional development when it comes to anyone in need of anything regarding business, leadership, and of course, even self improvement. Being an author, being a consultant, being a speaker, you do get a chance to meet some great, outstanding people. And so, on this panel, I'm excited, and I'm looking forward to hearing what everyone else does as well to hopefully connect and network in the near future as well. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Marvin. Let's move forward to our next panelist. And we'll go to you, Donald.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I like deer caught in the headlights, right? Donald Morton, Chief Visionary Officer of Remand. We help Black men interrupt patterns and disrupt behaviors and break the vicious cycles of missed potential so that those men can transform their own lives, their own sense of leadership to their families, and their own sense of legacy with business and community. So I'm incredibly grateful to be here. Thank you for inviting me. Looking forward to an amazing conversation.
Thank you so much. Let's move forward to our ladies on the panel today. Let's start with Miss Freylon.
All righty. Well, good afternoon, everybody. I am 𝗕𝗂𝗄𝗿. I am a licensed therapist, co-founder of R3, which stands for Revive, Reset, Rebuild, Counseling and Coaching Services. It's located in Matthews, North Carolina. And I'm just here, like you said, ready to network, discuss this mental health, burnout, entrepreneurship, what all that means to everybody, and provide whatever information and insight I can to the panel. So looking forward to it.
Thank you so much. And last but not least, Miss Brooks.
Hello, everybody. Just like everyone else, I'm excited to be here. Believe it or not, I am an introvert. So these kinds of things take me way out of my comfort zone, but that is what I do with the women that I help. Again, my name is Shirley Brooks. I'm a life coach, and I call myself the life coach for the women. But I focus on helping women do just the same thing that I had to do to become successful in life and entrepreneurship, and that's do it scared. Get out of your comfort zone. Be comfortable with expressing your authentic self. And specifically, though, I help women with overcoming procrastination and developing effective time management strategies, and kind of mix spiritual and practical things together, kind of like special sauce, I guess you could say, to help you tap into your inner strength and gain clarity and embrace just who you are. And I support women who are solo entrepreneurs, corporate climbers, and just busy moms in general.
Love it. Thank you so much. All right, so let's start with why. In your opinion, and whoever wants to start, why is it important for entrepreneurs to address and take charge of their mental health?
I'll dive in on that one. I.e., number one, as a therapist, I'm always stressing self-care. Self-care isn't taught. We're raised to care about others, give of ourselves. And oftentimes when we don't do that, we're selfish, or a lot of other negative words come with thinking about yourself and putting yourself first. But if you are going to start your own adventure and give more of yourself outside of what family already requires, outside of what we already need as just individuals, then taking care of who you are depends on how much you care for your own mental health. And so if we're not taking care of us first, it's really hard to help those people that we're doing with Remand and, coaching other people. We have to be our biggest coach and our biggest cheerleader. And it's hard to do that when we don't assess our own needs. So it's a priority.
Yeah, fully agree. Anyone else would like to chime in?
Yeah, I think one of the things that now my mama taught me right, Miss Brooks. If you want to go, then you go ahead, and I'll
No,
follow.
you go ahead. I'll go after you. Mine is really short and straight to the point. So you go ahead.
One of the myths I think in being entrepreneurs and potential CEOs is that we don't view ourselves as assets to our own business. In fact, we are the primary asset to our business, more than copy machines, more than CRMs, more than any other kind of tangible business asset. We are the primary asset to the business. Once you get a revelation of that, you recognize that your business does not function without a healthy you, right? And so one of the things that I've learned to do is just kind of reframe my position with Remand and help my community and myself understand, my family understand that self-care is not selfish. It is the best thing that you can do for your own business goals. In fact, one of the things that I think we have to do, I think Ms. Freeland would agree, is you have to involve your own personal well-being as a business goal. It's not just a personal goal, it is in fact a business goal. So that is the way that I've been able to kind of reframe self-care and mental wellness and mental health.
Awesome. Thank you. I agree. Kind of in the same vein. There's that saying, you can't pour from an empty cup. And if we want to give as much as we can give, you know, we're all servants, right? We all got into business for the same reason, to be able to help everybody. And it will be really hard to adequately help at your highest level if you're not taking care of yourself, simply put. One of the things in my practice that I stress is I have the specs. And whether you're trying to have a business goal or regular everyday life goal, specs are your spiritual wellness, your physical wellness, your emotional wellness, and your self-care and your self-love and creativity. When all those things are good, that's like the foundation of a stable house. Now you can build on it. And so that's my belief in terms of how important mental health is. It is pinnacle. It is the first part.
Says the introvert.
I was about to say that same thing.
Ain't no was buying that.
The question put me so much on the spot too, because I'm like, wait. But yes, I'm practicing.
I love it. I love it. And just to add on to what Ms. Brooks was saying, that's really the concept behind the mental cost of entrepreneurship. Not just solely focus on mental health. Obviously, I'm biased towards mental health as a psychotherapist, but taking that holistic approach, as Ms. Brooks indicated. So ensuring that you're well spiritually, physically, socially, emotionally, as well as financially. Yes, we got to get to the bag, right? However, if you're not well, Mr. Morton mentioned this as well, right? If you're not taking care of yourself as the most valuable asset, your business is not going to be sustainable. It's not going to flourish. And you're going to see the trickle down effects on the other aspects of your life as well. So self-care certainly is not selfish. It is a necessity. So what does your self-care routine look like? I know it's different for everyone. What does it actually look like for you, or whoever wants to comment?
I'm going to go first. To be honest, the self-care routine did not come into play until recently for me. So been in business 10 years, 11, something around there, 11 years. I always said, let's get the work done. Let's get the work done. All the tasks need to be done, need to be done, need to be done, until honestly the pandemic happened. And I said, wait a minute. I have nowhere to go. I have to revamp. I have to remix. I have to redo. And then all of a sudden I start to think about my own self. And so my routine is get up, you pray. I pray first, and then I go exercise. I eat something healthy now. I did not always eat something healthy, but now I get a little bit of fruit. You know, we're gonna have some eggs and bacon. I don't care what nobody say. We're gonna do meat still, and and we're gonna run it off. You know, and so we go exercise it off. We do some HIIT training for a little while, and we just enjoy it. You drink your water during the day, and then you also schedule time with yourself. I schedule time with myself before I talk to anybody else. I've already talked to God. Then I'm gonna deal with me. Then I'll deal with other people. Because I think a unbalanced self person is just not good business person. I'm not giving you all of my perks and stuff, but I don't understand a attitudinal entrepreneur. You already know it's going to be ups and some downs. You're a business person, so balance yourself first. Once you get in balance, then you'll be able to kind of deal with some other people. So I'll let everybody else go now.
Thank you for sharing that, Marvin. Who else would like to offer some insight into their self-care routine?
I don't mind sharing mine. Mine is very similar in terms of the first thing I do as well is I talk to God. That's, that is my faith is the core of my being. And also journal. I think journaling is very important. And, all kinds of journaling can have different themes. Right now, my favorite theme is a manifestation journal I have specifically in the space of prosperity. And I do it every morning. And I also actually do it at midday and at night. Your mind is, I believe your mind is a big part of your service. We exercise to build our body. We have to exercise our mind and build it so it can support us in the background. Because like you said, Marvin, business has its ups and downs. We have to build, we have to have some form of resilience, right? Like where that resilience comes from. And so that's really big for me is journaling. Like I said, 3 times a day is very short, but I do it. And I also believe in mindfulness. And my husband always is like, why are you like, what's wrong? Because I'll do this. I'll go, it's like, what's wrong? My son will do it. So I'm like, there's nothing wrong. You'd be surprised how much just taking a nice deep breath in moments where you feel kind of off balance brings you back in. And so I do breathing like during the day, things like that. And there's a lot of other things I do, but the mindfulness piece is important to me. My faith is important. And just taking some time to breathe and like literally take in what's going on around you. My window faces green, right? Like nature. So, and it's really just bushes. I mean, let me not make it sound like I live in the mountains, but the point is like seeing that green and seeing the roses and seeing the sky, it gives you energy. And that's what we need as entrepreneurs is energy. So those are my 3 things.
Thank you so much for sharing that, Ms. Brooks. Ms. Fralin, I know I'm putting you on the spot, but as my fellow clinician, what does the self-care routine look like for you?
Absolutely. For me, it is, I start with prayer too. I guess we got some faith in the space today, but I start with faith, prayer. And of course, I do quarterly check-ins. Like they'll tell you take a medicine every 4 hours, every 6 hours. So throughout the day, I pause. What have I done for me today? Right. And I check in and I ask that. And at the end of the day, I ask that question. What did you do for you today? Because sometimes when I ask that, I'm in between sessions. Might not have a lot I can do in that space, but using 2 minutes to deep breathe is helpful if I only have 2 minutes in between because a session can run over. And so I may not attribute the same amount of time at each of those increments, but I do ask myself, what have I done for just me? What have I done for just me throughout the day? And what I look at across the week is what's a weekly goal, like just a personal weekly goal. That could be reading. That could be finishing up something I want to watch, just something that's just for me. And then I have like a monthly massage. Like I do like increments because sometimes we let them pile up. And like Mr. Marvin said, I definitely didn't learn self-care early in this. I learned it later. And I was talking to my clients about self-care. Take care of yourself. And I was like, wait a minute. Hold on. How much of that are you doing? And so back to what Donald said, I had to see myself as also an asset to the business. And so pouring into me is asking yourself, what have you done for you today? Making sure that you've done something for yourself that day and in the evening. And what is your weekly goal? If you're not journaling still, what is your goal? What do I want to accomplish? What's your weekly bucket list for just me? Like, I have one of those every week. I'm a list person. So the list can't be just about the company or the clients or the family. What is the list that is all about you? Okay. So checking in with you, deep breathing, I utilize that. Prayer, I utilize that. Even breath prayers, like prayers you can say in a breath, one breath, is encouraging to me. Leaving one session, going into another session, and you got to be present. But that was a lot. And I need to rebalance before I talk to the next person. So that's important throughout the day, throughout the week, and giving yourself something to look forward to. That's my monthly massage. That's happening. I had a lot of those pile up, and that told me I wasn't self-caring, so I don't let them pile up anymore. If anything, I'll take 2 instead of 1. Okay. So that's me.
I love that. Thank you so much for sharing. And I'm taking notes as well. Certainly, I think, all of that was very powerful. One of the main thing that really stood out for me is, what have I done for me today? And I hope that everyone that's tuning in today to the summit, or perhaps you're going to catch the replay, ask yourself, what have I done for me today? And if the answer is nothing, please take heed to what Ms. Fralin has shared with you today. Do something for you each and every day. You are the most important and most valuable asset that you have, right? It's not your kids, it's not the spouse, it's not the business, as y'all have shared, right? It is you, YOU. So definitely don't neglect that. Does anyone else have anything to add? And then also, we're checking the comments to see if anyone that's tuning in live has any comments for our expert panelists today.
Yeah, so let me add this. Sometimes the greatest thing you can do is nothing, nothing at all, right? Just kind of taking a day to breathe. A good friend of my mother's, Bishop Larry Trotter, said this. He's out of Chicago. He said he takes a day a week a month, and a month a year, right? That is his system: a day a week a month, and a month a year. Particularly for Black men that I work with, Brother McQueen, you understand this, that we are trained to labor, right? And so when we don't, it's almost like we are doing something wrong. Like, it's something wrong if we rest. It's something wrong if we're not sweating. It's something wrong when we're not laboring. And so for every male entrepreneur, understand that it's okay for you to rest. I'm one of those brothers. I don't care what you call me. I'm one of those brothers that Sister Fralin just talked about. I'm gonna get a massage. I'm gonna get my feet done. My feet are jacked right now. I'm looking under the table. I have not been participating in self-care, right? So getting my hands done, getting my feet done, getting a facial, getting a massage, taking my lady out for date night just to watch a movie, just to kind of chill. And I think one of the other things that I think is important is a shifting in mindset. I have learned not to rest from the week. I rest for the week. So my rest is up front to make sure that I prepare myself and fuel myself for the week to come. I don't try to rest after I'm burnt out. I prepare myself so that I don't get burnt out. And those are a couple of nuggets that have helped me over time.
Thank you so much for sharing that. Yeah, I think all too often, and I've been guilty of that as well, as Ms. Fralin has shared, even as a psychotherapist, we wait until we can't do anything else, right? You're tired, you're burned out, you're exhausted, not just physically exhausted, you're emotionally exhausted, mentally exhausted, physically exhausted. You might even be financially exhausted, right? Don't wait until that happens, okay? Learn from us, right? Take heed to what we're sharing with you, especially, it doesn't matter where you are in your entrepreneur journey. You may be a seasoned entrepreneur, and if you don't have this yet, it's not too late. Get it now. Implement these strategies now. Rest for the week, as Mr. Martin has indicated today. Anyone else would like to share?
Yeah, I have one more thing to add to the
Uh-huh.
discussion. In terms of self-care, and we don't look at whenever we say yes to somebody else, like having boundaries is what I'm getting at. When you say yes to somebody else, you're saying no to who else? You. So have boundaries, be careful what you say yes to, and look at the intention behind your yes. Is it for ego, which is not a judgment call? It's just, is it ego, or is it because you're actually wanting to serve? And even in serving, do I have the capacity today? It's okay if you don't have the capacity today. Be okay with saying no. Be okay with having boundaries. It's a form of self-care. And that was the one thing I wanted to throw out there.
Thank you so much for sharing that. I'm going to play this brief video clip. This is actually of another therapist, one of our sponsors for the summit, Ms. 𝗕𝗄𝗿. She's not live with us today, but she shares with you briefly a little insight into her own personal experiences when it comes to addressing her mental health. So take a look at this, and we'll be back momentarily.
Hello. I experienced some mental health challenges as an entrepreneur during the pandemic. It was really hard to deal with everything that was going on and losing people right and left. I also had a family member who was really sick and was in the hospital, and we were not sure what was going on, so that just added to the stress. So as a therapist myself, I had to really sit and take an inventory, and I realized that I was experiencing symptoms of anxiety. So I reached in my toolbox and was able to pull out some coping tools that really helped me. And those coping skills that worked the most were journaling my thoughts and my feelings. And I also did a lot of affirmations and aromatherapy that really helped me. And the biggest thing that helped me was creating a routine. Even though we were home and things were not normal, I created a routine. I stuck to that routine. And then I also started working out more consistently. And those things really helped me to ground myself so that I can be more prepared to do what I needed to do.
All right, welcome back. Thank you so much, Katrina, for sharing your insight. Let's switch gears a little bit, okay? Let's talk about failure. I'm sure at some point during your entrepreneurial journey, everyone on the panel today has dealt with a business setback or even a personal setback or failure that has impacted maybe the planned path, right, or the planned journey that you had for your life and or your business. So tell us a little about that setback, and how do you navigate your way through that setback? Whoever wants to start.
I'll go. So starting out with R3, we began, pandemic came, right? So talk about failure or setbacks. When you're going through credentialing, so what that is trying to get paneled with the different insurance companies and everybody so that you can get paid for your therapy. Well, a lot of people was working from home, and that includes all the credentialing offices. So me and my business partner, Emil, we started this process, and we were doing all the applications, and our clients, because I had clients previously, were going to transition to my practice. Well, I need to be insured at my practice just because I'm linked to the insurance at another address, it didn't matter. And so trying to not have gaps in clients' mental health services and be paneled was so delayed. I did a lot of what I call free therapy during the pandemic. A lot of free therapy, because it's, number one, wasn't the client's fault that the insurance companies were working from home and taking time to get us paneled. Their mental and emotional needs were amplified, of course, because now they all at home with a lot of the problems that they normally come and talk to me about outside of their home. And yet we still had bills, right, at my house too. And I couldn't control how fast Aetna, Blue Cross, or anybody else, all the people, approved these applications. And so that really threw a curveball in the finances, in the mental and the emotional aspects of entrepreneurship, because I'm like, we're starting a company. We're going to do this thing. Yeah, but we're not getting paid a lot of money, not coming in from insurance companies. By the grace, I can only say grace, we had self-pay clients that literally carried R3 through the pandemic. And I'm forever grateful for those self-pay clients who could allow us to provide them services, and those who offered to go on sliding scales until credentialing could come through. I remember working I didn't get paid for Blue Cross until November of that year. January through November, nothing from Blue Cross. And all my clients were primarily Blue Cross. Okay? So to explain to you the impact of now having a rent at an office, and I still have my home and my roof that we here, and we got bills, and we still need our same food, and you don't want to change everybody's life because you decided to open a business in the middle of the pandemic breaking out. So definitely felt like a setback. But it was those check-ins, and it goes back to the boundaries. I learned more about boundaries in the pandemic because my no really was no. I needed to save every part of me, mentally, emotionally, and financially, for the needs that we had. And so I did learn boundaries from that standpoint, and more self-care from that standpoint during that time. So certainly things that are beyond your control. One of my favorite lines is, you can only control what you can control. And that's the truth. And I had to step back and say, I can't control none of this approvals, none of this, but I can do what I can do. And I had difficult conversations with clients, hey, I may have to refer you out or something else, because I was looking at contracting through different resources. They got a million virtual platforms that popped up that I could do some therapy through and bring in income. So not giving up on our vision, of R3 counseling and coaching services for financial reasons. That's a big aspect of starting this during the pandemic. So I didn't fail. We didn't fail. We hung in there, but it definitely was a journey. It was a journey through the pandemic. Yes.
Thank you so much for sharing that. Who else would like to add about a personal or a business setback that you have experienced?
I'm here. I'll go. Uh, I like how she said that, though. It wasn't like failure. She said it was a setback. So I love the way you pose this question, because my setback was not being prepared totally for the business. So you have this thought, you had this training, you go out and you do it. Sounds great. Woohoo! We jumping out. We having a great time. Then here comes a client with something that you do not have in place. Dr. Freelon, listen, I didn't have no credentialing to do nothing, none of that stuff I was waiting on. It just needed to be, I needed to have the forms in place so they can sign the forms. Once they sign the forms, they'll send it right back. So I had to, I asked the Lord to forgive me because I went through this whole line of, hey, something happened to this wasn't my fault, this happened here, listen, I'm going to get this to you in the next 48 hours, and the 48 hours came and it was not completed the right way. So I end up losing that particular business until I did get a chance to come back. I had a chance to make it up to him, but that setback taught me something. Don't put nothing out unless you're ready for it. Don't say you know how to do something unless you're ready for it. And so that really did teach me about preparing. And so I'm going to take Brother Morton's advice, though. You rest for the week, so prepare. And so uh, so every weekend I'm resting. I am surely resting. I'm resting for the week from now on to be prepared for the business that I want. This is something that I prayed for, something that I, of course, was trained for, but I didn't have the business paperwork aspect to put everything in place. So that was my setback. And if you want to know how that affects you mentally, watch money walk out the door and see where your mind goes then. So that's my part.
Thank you so much for sharing. Just wanted to go back to what Ms. Fralin mentioned briefly, and that is the pandemic and how that just changed the world, literally, right? It turned the world upside down, and obviously our personal lives as well. We had personal losses as well as just trying to navigate the new business landscape, right? For some, it was maybe an easier transition for others. But if you work in certain capacities and you're accustomed to certain things, like even my clients, for example, many of them at the time, I think maybe 30% or so of our clients were virtual and 70% in person. But many of them were resistant to talking over the camera, right? And so just trying to make those adjustments and navigate that process. So I can definitely relate to those struggles and challenges that you and your partner were able to overcome and thrive in spite of. And a lot of that goes to really your mindset, right? The fact that you had the mindset, you had the determination that we are going to get through this somehow, some way. And certainly, if you're a believer, the Most High certainly sustain you. But it also was a result, or it manifested as a result of your mindset and the work that you put in. And that goes for every one of us. Anyone that's listening today, change your mindset, right? If you are in, coming upon a challenging time in your life and business, really the first thing you need to do, I think Mr. Martin alluded to this earlier as well, right? You have to shift your mindset. That's where everything starts, with your mindset. And then take whatever action you need to take. And sometimes it does mean taking a break. I think maybe you also mentioned that as well earlier, Mr. Martin, and a few others as well. Sometimes the best thing you can do is nothing at all. Pause, take a break, be still, regroup, and get the clarity that you need to move forward. There is a question from the audience that I don't want to overlook it. Let's see here. Oh, I think it's here somewhere. I just missed it. Oh, how do you, so the question from the audience is, how do you engage in self-care without feeling guilty? Whoever wants to respond to that.
It really is. It kind of goes back to what you just said. It really is just a simple shift in mindset. And I am a bit nervous to say a simple shift in mindset, because your mindset can be very, very difficult to shift, particularly when you've been thinking a particular way for a long period of time. I'm a former pastor, right? So I pastored for 25 years. And you know, the mindset of service that comes with the local church, and in particular the Black church, which functions a great deal on volunteerism, and you really rely on people overextending themselves. I'm gonna keep it a buck with you. That's the way that it works, right? We don't have, by and large staffs. A lot of people say, what's the pastor doing with the money? Where all the money going? Man, the pastor ain't got no money, right? So you really function on volunteerism. And so, I know what it is to go on vacation and feel like crap because I'm on vacation. I know what it is to watch the members of the church enjoy vacation during the summer, and me celebrate them. And when I go on vacation, they crucify me. So I understand the guilt that comes with having to take a rest. And in fact, let me just kind of transition into the last question. What does failure look like? Ms. Brooks, I was locked out of a local church. So can you imagine what it is as a Baptist pastor to be called into a meeting? This is real story, y'all. To be called into a meeting, Marvin, and for them to say, they tell my assistant, hey, we just want to meet with you about the direction of the church. Real story, Ms. Freylon. They called me into a meeting and they said, can we pray? And I said, certainly we can pray. And we prayed. And then one of the deacons gets up and reads a letter. And the letter is essentially, your services are no longer needed here. And if you step back on the property, we're going to have you locked up. This is the local church I grew up in. I pastored the church I grew up in. So can you imagine a young pastor that gets locked out of his local church? That sounds and feels like failure. Until later on, we launched the Remand Project, and God saying to me, hey, Donald, I had to violently evict you from a situation, because if I didn't do it that way, we would not have a remand today. What looks like a problem and a failure in a moment, y'all know I feel like preaching, right? The thing that looks like a problem and a failure in a moment, God has a bigger plan in mind. And so there is never a failure that exists. If you were to look at Asian culture, they don't have a word for problems. They don't have a word for failure. They look at everything that is a problem and a failure as a word opportunity. So what happens in crisis is creativity emerges. The things that you never thought you could do, the things you never thought you could think, happen when your back is up against the wall, right? And so I'll end by saying this. I'm reading a book right now that is called Surrendered. And the entire premise of the book is learning to go with the flow and to understand that every moment has a meaning, getting you to the ultimate goal of where you ultimately want to be. So I've learned how to detach myself from outcomes. I couldn't care less about outcomes. I learn in the journey. There's something magical about the journey. The outcomes will take care of themselves if I learn to just ride the journey. And so that is a failure of mine, being locked out of a local church. The deacon was changing the locks while they were praying. And to be told that if you come back, we're going to lock you up from your childhood church. There would be no remand today if it had not been for that moment. God was behind that moment, and I have no qualms. Those people and I are still friends today. I still love them today because I understand that there is a purpose behind crisis that kind of make us a better person in the process.
Well said. Thank you so much, Mr. Morton. Were you going to say something?
I am, but it's a bit longer. But I did want to say, just to piggyback off of the not attaching yourself to outcomes. I have a similar, not as similar concept, not as big story that I want to share in terms of perceived failure. But I did also want to go back to the guilt thing. With the guilt and self-care, if you just think about it from the perspective of what would you tell your best friend if she came to you with the same concerns that you have right now about feeling guilty about taking care of yourself, what would you say to her? You would say, girl, you need to go get that. You need to go get that massage. You need to, turn off the email, put on your out of office, do all the things, go do what you need to do for yourself. The same compassion and empathy and love you would give to somebody else, flip that and put it on yourself because you deserve it too. Hopefully that's helpful. In terms of the failure situation, mine is definitely not as big as Donald and Tayana, but for me, it was a few years ago, around probably in the COVID time. Because when I started my business, I was also working a full-time job. I was busting my behind trying to make like a lot of stuff happen in a short amount of time. And I did all the things people typically do. You know, you subscribe to all the emails, you subscribe to all, you do all the coaches, the free webinars, the paid the paid programs, the cheap ones and the expensive ones. You do all the things. And of course you get in all these different groups, right? And you're in these groups and the little evil thing comes up called comparison, and you see everybody else having success and you have this perception of yourself all of a sudden that you're failing. And I do think that with failure, it really is about your perception of it. It's an opportunity, like you said, Donald, more than it is a setback. It is what you make it, right? But I had to coach myself through that process at the time. But the comparison did start to get to me, and it almost created like depression for me a little bit, because I felt like I wasn't moving at the pace that everybody else. Plus, I wanted to quit my job. And for me at the time, that was my definition of success. And so because that wasn't happening, it did make me feel like I was failing. So through all of that, though, to get out of that funk I fell into, I had to learn something similar to what you said, Donald. Mine is the art of allowing. So it's kind of a similar process, but I got this from a book I read by Abraham Hicks called The Art of Allowing. And basically, it's the practice of letting go of resistance and allowing the natural flow of well-being, abundance, and desires into your life. And it involves releasing negative thoughts and beliefs and emotions and just aligning with positive energy to manifest your desired outcomes. But it emphasizes the power of surrender and trust and allowing God, or, the universe, whatever you want to call it, to work in your favor. One of my mantras from my childhood was always that all things are working together for my highest good. But in that moment, I didn't realize that the perceived bad things were also working for my highest good too. And so I had to let go, and I released the pressure to grow and the pressure, that whole hustle mentality. I released that. And I also released the pressure to meet other people's standards. And I reevaluated what success meant for me. And in doing that, I was able to move forward, and in that letting go and in that stopping the comparison and releasing that pressure and releasing that need to be attached to the outcome, business opportunities started to flow in. So I detached myself from comparison, detached myself from material-based outcomes, and that's when things started to change.
Thank you so much for sharing that, Ms. Brooks. All right, so one final question for our first panel, and then we're going to transition to our second panel discussion for today. And so I'm going to pose this question for each of you here today, okay? If you can go back in time to the start of your entrepreneur journey, what's one piece of advice you would give yourself as it pertains to your mental health? Whoever wants to start.
Okay, I'll give this a shot. I would tell myself not to just prepare, but take your time. Not going at a slow pace, but realizing things that we've discussed, like boundaries, balance, mindset. Get into a good place where you're sunk in and you have some type of foundation that the smallest thing can't shake you. Like, get to almost a place of where you get to laugh about the stuff that should make you cry. Where you can just almost shrug your shoulders and step outside for a little bit, jump back in. I would say do that. Those are, for me, would have been some very foundational things. Of course, the zeal and the enthusiasm is great to have, but you also need the substance behind all of these wonderful dreams, these night dreams, these daydreams, these vision boards. All of that stuff sounds really, really good. And you need those. Yet and still, you also need some type of understanding, some mindset of where you're headed. It's almost like let your faith and your feet do some things together. And once you bring it together, I would definitely tell myself, like, hey, take your time. If you take your time, watch the other stuff flow the way it needs to. I would do that.
I probably would. I think it's similar, man, to what you just said, right? I think when we start the entrepreneurial journey and we have, these grandiose ideas of what it's going to look like, we don't face reality. And reality has a habit of busting you in your mouth. When you've got to manage KPIs and you've got to manage CRMs and you've got to know, what's funny? I think you guys would agree with me. What's amazing about entrepreneurs is we usually start business not just because we have a good business idea, but because we're good at something. There's something that we're good at. And I know a lot of people that are good at frying chicken. I know a lot of people that are good at sewing and shopping and all of that. But y'all, running a business is different, right? You can't just be the talent of the business. You got to know profit and loss. You got to know balance sheets. You got to know cash flow statements. You got to know all of the things that it takes to run a business. And so those are the things I knew a business, but I knew business as a pastor. Stepping out and doing this was like, yeah, I quit. I would quit every day, right? Because it can be overwhelming. And then the final thing that I would say, Shirley, is look, be your own client, right? I can't tell you how many. My lady and I talk about this all the time. She kind of talks me off the ledge. Because as coaches, as therapists, as pastors, we are wonderful at giving advice and counsel and coaching. And can I tell you that I know very few people that take their own advice, their own coaching, their own product, right? So physician, heal thyself. Do some work internally that aligns you so that you can show up powerfully for the next person that you're called to coach. So those are two things that I think I would, some I did well, some I didn't do so well, but those are the things that I would go tell my younger self in this journey.
I'll go next. You took mine. Physician, heal yourself. All right. So besides that, when I think back on my journey, a couple things I think of. One of them is if you with the practice or know that all the things that happen are for a reason, and also look back journey. Like, look at all the different things you've overcome and realize how much stronger they've made you along the way. And then looking at that strength that you gained along the way, when you face a challenge, use that as reference for what you can do. And look at yourself like a bamboo tree. Like when a bamboo tree is blown back by a storm, it comes back even stronger. And it wouldn't be as strong as it was without the storm. So just kind of thinking about those things along the way. And also, just if I had to look back at myself, done is better than perfect. And don't be ashamed of where you are in your journey. And don't compare yourself to others, but enjoy the journey. And again, learn from those things. And remember the power of your words and your thoughts. They have so much power. And my mantra, of course, just do it scared. Like, just do it. Just get out there and do it. Confidence is a muscle. And the only way it can grow is by you trying. So try it. Try something new.
Okay, I'll dive in. Mr. Marvin, you're going to read a closing finale, I guess. So to that, I would say if I went back to the beginning, I would certainly self-care from the beginning, number one. Number two, the rest, prioritizing that rest, and the planning that I got from Mr. Marvin as far as having everything in place. that would have been great because there was a lot of different platforms to take your notes and keep your notes. And I'm trying to start the business and got to figure out which one I'm gonna use and which one costs this, and I ain't getting paid from insurance. And so there's a lot of different things that go with that. But preparation, number one, not just for the sessions, but everything behind the scenes. It's easy to prepare for a session. I do, like you say, that's the talent piece. But what else? Like what else? So knowing the what else it takes to do this matters. Preparing for the what else that it takes to do this matters. Self-caring from the beginning. And I take account of the percentage of productivity versus checking some off the list. If you got something 50% done today and it's a goal for your week, that 50% counts. And really counting your efforts accurately, you know, because that'll keep you busy and not self-caring as well, because I only got 50% of something done, but I did 100% of something else. And taking account and grading yourself accurately is important from the beginning. It keeps you in the right headspace as far as saying, you know what, I did do good. When you check back on what did I do today, if I feel like that 10% didn't help for the whole week, I don't feel accomplished, right? So we want to really applaud ourselves, check in with ourselves, and be prepared for the what else, not just the piece that the talent brings to the table. Absolutely. I think.
And can I say this finally, because you brought it up, I want to make sure, and then I'm done because I know we got to get to the next panel and I want to learn from them. On day one, I would have begun to fire myself from everything but CEO. On day one, prepare to work yourself out of the position of entrepreneur so that at some point you can have staff and teams and become CEO of a business. 96% of the Black community's businesses are sole proprietorships, 96%. So at some point, we've got to understand the need for help. And we've got to begin to plan that on day one so that at some point we can work ourselves out of being entrepreneurs and become CEOs.
Absolutely. Thank y'all so much for the amazing insight and advice. For those of you who are just tuning in, we just concluded panel 1. So we're just halfway through. We have another amazing lineup of expert panelists that will be joining us in just a few minutes. So take a break. Don't go too far away. We'll be back in 2 minutes for the second half of the Mental Cost of Entrepreneurship Summit. Check this out, y'all. so little technical difficulties with that video, but we will certainly we'll add it to my YouTube, and then also we'll share it on Facebook as well. So I do apologize for those glitches. But we're here on panel 2. I'm gonna add them on briefly. If y'all can't tell, my voice is not fully here today, okay? So I've been doing my best thus far, but I am going to have my business coach as well as visionary sponsor, Mr. Marvin McQueen II. He is going to moderate panel 2 with our amazing expert panelists. So I'm going to go ahead and bring Marvin along with our panelists on, and each and every one of them will actually introduce themselves to you. So let's bring them on now. All right, welcome, panel 2. Thank y'all. I know y'all just tuned in to panel 1. So many nuggets were dropped, so I certainly can't wait to take notes for all the good stuff that y'all will be sharing with the audience today. So Marvin, I'm gonna let you take over, okay?
Yes, ma'am. I'm the pinch hitter. I'm ready. I'm ready to hear. Listen, everyone, go and let's introduce yourselves to everyone so we can know who's who. Let's do ladies first, then gentlemen last. Does that sound good?
Sounds great.
Okay. I'll go. My name is 𝗕𝗵𝗄, and I'm the founder of New Minds Mentorship Program here in Alabama. Basically, it's a youth program that serves girls ages 10 to 17. And I'm also the author of The Lemon Spirit, Living, Coping, and Overcoming Anxiety. So I'm a huge mental health advocate. You know, I have my own book about living with anxiety. So that's a little bit about me.
Hi, everybody. I'm 𝗕𝗄𝗿𝗄𝗍, and I'm a serial entrepreneur. So I have 4 businesses, but I work mainly with coaches, consultants, online service providers, teaching them how to monetize their expertise so they can build profitable and sustainable businesses. My other businesses include pole dancing studio, aerial arts, and I'm also a speaker and author.
Awesome. My name is 𝗕𝗁𝗄𝗍 Trent. I'm looking at the images. My bad, y'all. My name is 𝗕𝗁𝗍 Trent. I'm a serial published author. I'm also a creative expressions coach. So I do help coaches, speakers, leaders, and experts write and publish books in 60 days or less for more impact and income. I'm also a youth empowerment speaker. So 𝗕𝗂𝘀𝗵, let's connect. And I'm just here to serve and impact. I'm here to serve and impact.
I love this. My name is Dr. 𝗕𝗂𝘀𝗵 Jr., the Impact Builder. I am the president and CEO of 𝗕𝗂𝗋𝗋 Enterprises, and we simply are a business consulting and book publishing consulting firm located in Baltimore, Maryland. And what we simply do is we assist individuals and organizations to be able to bring their vision to reality, and we do that through the lens of marketing. We do that through the lens of branding, and then we also assist them putting their words together to make people better. That's how I simply say it. We simply try to make people better. So thank you. Glad to be here. I love this bunch of panel of authors. Y'all just have no idea how tickled I am. I need to talk to every single one of y'all on here.
Synergy, y'all. Synergy.
Man, now that is definitely fun. I think we all share that same sentiment. Every one of us doing something, and then when you are in a place with a lot of authors, it's like, okay, wait a minute, I need something. I need to speak to someone. But I found that out being a part of panel 1. That was amazing. That was great. But panel 2, I'm excited even the more for this opportunity to just have a great conversation, moderating along with each and every one of you. There were so many particular things that happened during this month, and I know this month we're finishing out mental health awareness, and I believe that mental health is so very important, not just because we're on here with Ms. Jefferson, soon to be Dr. Jefferson. We're not just on here with her, but listen, there's so many people that's really not aware of mental health. And I think I want us to address how can we push out mental health awareness more? How can we take some steps, or you can even give us, each of you, what steps can be taken to reduce that stigma surrounding the mental health issues that we face in all of our land?
I'll go. So I think one of the ways that I am actually trying personally is actually to tell my story a lot more. And some of the other panelists, whether you're on panel 2 or panel 1, may have personal experiences. Like when growing up, I was mentally and emotionally abused. My mother was a narcissist, and so was my ex-husband. But you probably wouldn't know that if you just, saw me on social media or even talked to me in person. None of those things would probably come to your mind. So it's like, what does mental illness or mental health issues really look like? And so one of the things that I've been doing is just really sharing my story, sharing about how I grew up, and just letting people know that they aren't alone, whether they're in the entrepreneurship space or not. I think we really need to do a better job of just talking about it and how commonplace it really actually is, and just share our story and some of the steps that we've been taking or have taken to overcome the challenges that we face.
Gray, I would probably say one way we need to advertise rest just like we advertise the hustle. As entrepreneurs, this is a big hustle culture. So it's easy to feel guilty for sitting still, feeling guilty because I'm not doing anything. And I kind of learned that early on. I'm kind of going in my 6th year of entrepreneurship, and probably when I got maybe to about year 4 or 3.5, I was just completely burnt out. And I actually kind of stepped away from social media, stepped away from my business, probably about 4 or 5 months. But I know when my business is something that I love, when it started to become a chore, I knew it was time to step back. So one thing, we gotta screen rest, self-care, mental health, just like we advertise the hustle. That's what we need to do.
Wow. Oh, go ahead, doctor.
No, I think we're doing it. I think things like this with Shana came up with, doing what she does on a continuous basis. But I think as a couple other people have said, it needs to be talked about more. And when we say talked about more, not just talking about it, but having our stories told. And give an example. I was a part of a summit called the T4 Summit about a week or so ago. And the 4 T's were trials, triumphs, tears, and truths. And let me tell you, it was a panel of 8 of us. And everyone that was a part of this summit had gone through a trial. And you think of some of the worst things that you think about that people have gone through with family, with the church, and business, finances. This panel had these stories. And one of the things that I always say is your story gives someone else the freedom to live theirs. And we allow people to be able to see, because most times when people go through things, they think that they're the only ones. I lie to you. I've had so many people, and even some of the authors that I've been privy to be be friends with and work with and everything like that. The one thing that they usually say is that they get is when people approach them, when people talk to them, I thought I was the only one. Mm-hmm. And it allows other people to know that they're not the only ones that have gone through things, aren't struggling with things, especially us as entrepreneurs. All of us, we each have our own stories, but to know that you have other people that have had the same struggles or have had the same even accolades or same kind of things that we've gone through, to be able to share those stories, we allow ourselves to be able to say, well, if that person did this, well, I can do something similar or pull from it what I can, and be able to see, okay, well, that can work for me as well. So I think as much as we share our stories, I think sharing our stories, telling our truths, being on panels like this, talking about it, and letting people know that it's okay. There's a cost to being an entrepreneur. There's some things that you're going to have to deal with, that you're going to go through. But here's some of the things and how some of the ways that you can deal with getting through it, so that there isn't a heavy cost to going through. Because there's going to be a cost, but it's not a heavy cost.
I believe, if I could piggyback, I agree. Everybody said something that will contribute to my answer, and that is, I believe that, one, we got to accept the call. From what I've seen, most of us are people of faith in Christ, and understanding that we have to pioneer. That's my answer. You have to be willing to pioneer your space, meaning, all right, this is my call. This is how much it costs, doctor. Am I willing to pay it? Now let me blaze this trail. And in doing so, what is required to make that a reality? And all of us have something similar together. One, we tell our story, but we're authors. The root word of authority is author. So that's what I teach or preach to my potential clients, is to shift their perspective of what they look at a book as. So if I look at a book as a weapon in my hand to do the warfare that I was called to do, to go blaze the trail for those that are behind me, then it changes, it literally changes everything. And I don't want to jump ahead of myself, but that's how I stay so rooted, because the vision is locked into my being. There is nothing else but for me to complete the vision. Whatever it costs, I must complete the mission. And I'll digress from there.
Good.
No, man, that is good. Everyone, like I'm taking notes. I don't care. Nobody say I'm taking notes, because I'm like, hey, y'all can sit there and be looking like you don't know what's going on, but listen, no, this is good. This is really, really good. Telling your story, telling the risks, telling the successes, pioneering your thought. I think Dr. McKenzie said it. When you tell your story, it gives others the freedom to live their story. And so many times we do feel, as entrepreneurs, I think all of us have felt this at one point in our life, we are by ourselves. Even though we see multiple McDonald's, we see multiple restaurants, we see multiple malls everywhere. It's like, oh, I'm by myself, because when you deal with something mentally, it's inner. It's something that's inner. And I love the fact that we have ways to talk about our issues. We have those ways. We have our areas of concern that needs to be talked about, of course. And so the question has arisen is what do you believe are the biggest mental health challenges that entrepreneurs are facing today? And what can we do to recognize it and address it? What are the biggest challenges? And anyone can start.
I'll go first.
Okay.
I think some of the biggest challenges that entrepreneurs face is clarity. Like, that word is used cliche, but one thing that I've learned in my young years, be touching 40 shortly, is that if you're not clear, then the mind can't be focused on the thing. Once we have more understanding of literally who we are, what we are, how we're made, then we can better use. I did 9 years in the military, 2 tours overseas. And one thing that I understand is, one thing that we're taught is the mindset part. You're a soldier. So no matter if you washing clothes, it don't matter if you're on the front line, it don't matter if you field artillery, it doesn't matter what you're doing. Everybody learns how to use that weapon. Everybody learns how to fight to some degree. Why? Because at grassroots, you're going to defend yourself. So they push so heavily to understand your equipment. We're not taught in America how to understand the equipment called the human body and the human mind. So because we don't understand how the equipment works, we just kind of walk around trying to figure out. But once you understand, you have a beautiful mind that if you give it a goal, a clear, focused goal, it's going to move towards it. And everything that you need to make that goal happen is going to come to you. So lock in on what your vision is. What problem are you solving? Because all entrepreneurs do is solve problems for pay. So let's not make this too much difficult. Like it was either you, Brother McQueen, or it might have been Donald. One of the biggest things he said, I heard him say was, I would have made myself CEO at day one. I would have made myself CEO. Why? Because my mind is getting bogged down with all of these other moving parts. So although there is a level of benefit to knowing how to do these things, quickly move yourself out of the way for your own mental health. Why? Because if you feel less than because you can't accomplish a task that's necessary, that's beginning to now affect your performance. And I'm going to digress from right there.
That was great. Marquise, am I pronouncing your name right?
Marquise.
Okay, Marquise. Okay. Some of the big challenges, and one of the things I know you brought up was clarity. The big challenges that entrepreneurs face, mental health, I would probably say clarity. The thing is to keep up with the Joneses. And as I mentioned before, that feeling that I always have to be doing something. And I know we're all entrepreneurs on here, and I was listening to Miss Crystal, about her different businesses. And I know I have some businesses, and y'all know, once you become an entrepreneur, you can't tell us nothing because I could do anything and I could create anything. And we think because we've been bitten by that bug, because I got 15 ideas God dropped in my spirit today, I got to launch all 15 of those this year, because we do get excited. Your business is your baby, and things like that. So one, we got to understand that everything doesn't have to launch at the same time. I had a business coach tell me it's okay to shelf some things, things like that. We don't have to do everything. And also, it's the trigger of social media, even when you don't want it to trigger you. When you're on Facebook and you're in that entrepreneur space, and I'm sure many of you have entrepreneur friends like myself, and you feeling fine, and all of a sudden, they did something, they having something, they doing something. Well, wait a minute. Maybe I need to go do something. Maybe I need to write another book, or maybe I need to have another event. So that is keeping up, with the entrepreneur Joneses is what I call it. You know what I mean? And another thing is just trying to launch, because that can be stressful. You're thinking you have to do everything at the same time. And another thing I wanted to bring up, just because you know how to do something, and I'm pretty sure you all can relate, I've learned, even though it's something I know how to do, I might not necessarily want to offer that service. I can do it for me, but I don't necessarily means if I did my website, doesn't mean, I could do websites, right? No, I did my website. That's not so. Just finding a balance in between that.
Yes. Thank you.
𝗍𝗵 is right about there.
Thank you for putting it on Front Street. Yes, ma'am.
I like the way this that clarity and business work hand in hand. So give me someone else. Who's next? Who else wants to say something about the biggest challenges?
I'll jump in because I think it piggybacks off of 𝗍𝗵, correct? Yes. Her points about social media. I think a lot of entrepreneurs attach their self-worth to no's and product launches that don't go their way. To no's, like being told no. And also product launches that don't go their way. Like, I always tell people the number one rule when you work with me, social media will have you fooled. It will have you fooled, and what you think people are doing and what you see on the front end doesn't mean anything on the back end. So you cannot attach yourself to what you see, unfortunately, right? We talk about the word authenticity, and I think that also is another trigger word for a lot of entrepreneurs in trying to figure out who they are in that process. Because let's be real, as you build a business, you are going to go through some personal growth and some changes and trying to figure out what parts of yourself to share on social media, what products to put out. But I do like what you said about not having to do everything that you're good at, because definitely a lot of people, like, we're multi-talented, multi-passionate. It doesn't mean it should be a business by any means. It just means it might just be a hobby or something that you like to do, and that's it, and that's all. But I think it's very hard sometimes to detach ourselves from someone telling us no, because we feel like it's a personal attack. And so I can't remember who said to detach yourself from the outcomes. Maybe it was Marvin, I'm not sure. But detach yourself not from the outcomes of all things. So that also means the outcomes of your product or your offer launches, the sales calls, conversations. Release the expectation of something that's going to happen, and just believe that everything is working for the highest good, especially when it comes to your business. Because if you go in with the mindset of like, this has to happen, like that desperation, I think that also contributes to having, mental health challenges within yourself and your business.
Can I jump in there, Marvin?
Go ahead.
So to add to what Crystal said was very, very impactful. So two things I want to add to that. One, if y'all have not heard of or listened to a training by Richard Fenton, Fenton, Richard Fenton, and 𝗠𝗲𝗹𝗁, it's called Go for No.
Yeah.
One of the most, my Lord, Go for No is so impactful because, as she said, it teaches you instead of running from no to run to no till you become desensitized. Because everything starts in childhood. And that's why I'm giving myself over completely to the understanding of the psyche and psychology on higher levels, because everything starts there. So to see these psychotherapists, therapists, all of that, we need y'all so much because the internal work has to be done. So when she said learning to manage your state, that's one of the biggest things I've been learning. Learning to manage your state, especially in sales calls, even discovery calls and things of that nature, because your energy can't lie. It doesn't lie.
Yeah.
If you're feeling some type of way on the inside, it's going to be conveyed through these mediums, through the voice, the inner man. Out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. So if your heart is not coherent, you know what I'm saying? If there's some incoherence going on the inside, you're struggling with the price points. You're struggling with saying your price points. You're struggling, I need to pay this bill. I need to make this high ticket sale. If any of those things are on your heart, before you get on that call, your prospect is going to feel it. And I just want to piggyback on what Crystal said and turn it over. Go for No by Richard Fenton and 𝗠𝗲𝗁. It'll bless your life.
I like that. I really, really like that. Listen, real quick, everyone, we're going to take a quick break. We got to, what they say, pay some bills. We're going to take a quick commercial break. And so let's listen to the break, and then we'll be right back.
Magazine is an empowerment and lifestyle publication for Black women who like to be real with themselves and in business. The magazine also offers public relations services and visibility coaching for Black women-led businesses, coaches, authors, and girl bosses so that they receive more exposure and grow their brands. To learn more about 𝗠𝗏𝗁 Magazine, please visit www.𝗠𝗏𝗁.net. That's www.swagher.net. Check our swag. We're more than a mag.
Welcome back. Welcome back. I was about to say welcome back to the ride, but welcome back. I'm very excited that we're talking about these challenges. We're talking about the mental costs along with one another. There are some great successes that's happening. Before we went to break, we heard of a couple of great things from a few of them. But Dr. McKenzie, did you want to add on the biggest challenges for entrepreneurs right now?
Yeah, the only thing I'll add is I'll use one word, kind of like everybody else is perfection, and it has to do with what kind of entails what the other panelists have said. We look for perfection. We think that perfection is going to be what we're going to encounter as entrepreneurs. That everything has got to be perfect. One thing that I've learned in watching it, and I don't know if everybody else has watched this series, the History Channel has a series that comes on every Sunday evening called, it's either the food that built America, the cars that built America, the men that built America. They have several of them that they do, and they usually play them all day Sunday afternoon going into the evening. But it talks about some of the most notably known industries and companies and how they got started, some of the people that started them, their stories. And the one thing that in watching them and I see is that it wasn't perfect. Everything that they did, the final product that they came out with, was what it was, but it wasn't perfect the first time. And I think we as entrepreneurs think that we have to be perfect. We talked about social media. Everybody thinks that social media has got to be perfect. We've got to be perfect for social media. We've got to be, we've got to present this. Oh, my life is this, or my business is this. Nah, this entrepreneurship thing can be ugly. It can be ugly. And I tell people, it will have you curled up like a baby, wondering why you in the world you even thought of doing something like this. Crying at night. Why am I doing this? Why am I? I think a lot of people don't know if they're willing. I think that they have this misperception because of the perfection that's put out there of thinking that it's gonna be easy. That client, that $1 million client gonna come knocking on your door or come walking in your office. Nah, that don't always happen. It's not gonna happen. May not happen. You're gonna have to work for that $1 million client. Those $1 million clients don't come, every like a bus every 20 minutes. It doesn't work like that. And we've got to understand that there's a part of this what we do, this journey that we're on, that's not perfect. It's not going to be perfect. That product you got, it's not going to be perfect the first time. You're going to have some tweaks. You're going to have some things that you think that can be done better to it, that it could be done to make it better. I've seen it. And even with my own. And I know every single author on here, y'all know it too, because that first edit that you did, y'all was like, what in the world was I writing there?
So true. So true.
What did I just say right there? That's a part of it. So we have to let go of, I think somebody said to you on this panel or the other one, says done is better than perfect. I think it was the first panel. Done is better than perfect. We can work with done, but it's never going to be perfect. So that's what I say one of the biggest challenges, because the mental part of that is, I think, what a lot of us struggle with, because we want to be perfect. We want to have the personified perfection, that everything I do is perfect. Nah. So that's all I add to that.
Man, that is really good. I believe wholeheartedly in everything that each of you said about it. When we talk about perfectionism, we're talking about leaning it towards your performance. All of that starts to intertwine with one another. How you think of yourself, how you think of some things that may have been in the past. And I think one of therapist said to me before, maybe a couple of years ago, is that you have to really understand that you shouldn't let your trauma start speaking for you. So getting your mindset together, getting your whole mind together, getting yourself together so you won't run after perfectionism. So you won't run after trying to be busy doing what everybody else is doing. Like, oh, I'm so excited that they dropped another book. Oh, I should drop another book. And then you're going to be doing just like Dr. McKenzie said, what did I just write? What was that? I can't believe I wrote that. That's not a complete sentence. Making all these signs. It's like, but all of those play a part. And so I want us to talk a little bit about performance. I want us to talk about performance. Like, how do you think our mental health really can affect our performance? Business owners, authors, entrepreneurs, coaches. How can it really affect it? And then what can we do to improve it so we can get better success?
Can I take that one first?
Go with it. Yes, sir.
I think here's what I did and what I do. About a year ago now, maybe a little less than a year ago, one of my friends, she's a trainer. She's a fitness trainer and nutritionist, and she put this challenge out about she wanted folks that were in her in her community. She said she wanted everybody to walk for 30 minutes a day. That's all she wanted to say. I just want you to walk for 30 minutes a day. So I had to start. I've been wanting to get back to walking and back to getting just being in good shape and everything like that. So I said, okay. I was like, I can do that. I said I knew the path that I was going to walk was 30 minutes up, 30 minutes back. So it was an hour. I was like, okay. I was like, I can do that. Started doing that on a regular, consistently. And I just told her this the other day. What walking did for me was it cleared my mind. And we talked about clarity. It gave me the ability to be able to just clear my mind, think about things, because I got 50 million, ideas and all of this stuff as I'm walking and thinking about things. And I got whether I'm listening to music or whether I'm listening to something motivational, whether I'm listening to my pastor, whatever I'm listening to, I'm thinking about things as well. So it brought in a couple of different things for me as far as health wise, because I was able to then take that and be more productive in my work. I felt energized. I felt a lot healthier going through the day. I felt more energized going through the day because I do my walks in the morning, and I wound up as a result of that. Last year, by then I lost 10 pounds, and I told her, I'm like, 𝗠𝗲, this. She was like, I told you, but it worked because I had a routine eating program plan that I was on, plus the walking and the exercises that I was doing, and I've stuck to it. And I've even lost 5 additional pounds since then. So I told her the other day, I said, I've gotten to my goal weight pretty much that I wanted to be at. I said, in just under a year. And I said, that's because of you. I said, and because of that, that's helped me with my business. I'm now getting more rest because she talks about resting, making sure that we as entrepreneurs get enough rest, that we're resting. And then, of course, what she says too, she always get on me about was drinking more water, making us healthier as physically helps us, I believe, mentally, and then even helps in our businesses being healthier too. Because if we're healthy, then we work more into seeing and understanding how we can make our businesses healthier too.
Good stuff.
Yeah, that's good. Who's
Yes,
next?
I would say entrepreneurship. You say how it affects you. Of course, if you're stressed, if you're depressed, running all the time, of course that affects your mood. And if you're not careful, when you're interacting with clients or something like that, you can be short. You can be giving off an energy that you don't want to actually give off. So I would say just plenty of rest. you know, and when I mentioned earlier about taking a fast from social media, I know it's certain things we feel like we can't live without, we can't, but let me tell you, just taking that break, and don't tell me you can't afford to take a break. You can. You don't have to take 5 months, like, but you can afford to take a break. You know, unplugging from that, and you know, my anxiety went so far down. I wasn't easily triggered. Even when I got back on there, I was just so pleasant. And I think another thing just kind of helped with that mental health, far as the physical part is I mentioned I think to Miss Jefferson, like, get you some non-entrepreneur friends. Non-entrepreneur friends, you know, they kind of help with that balance, because you know when you're talking to your homegirl, homeboy, you know, entrepreneurship, no matter what business is coming up, but when you have those other relationships outside of business, you know, they'll help, you know, kind of focus on different things. Oh, you know, take rest and stuff like that. So it's very important that we nurture those particular relationships as well, just to kind of help with our mental health.
Good stuff.
Yeah, I like that.
I'm sorry.
Oh,
No, whoever can go next. I was just going to say that I really like that. It's finding some people that is outside of what you normally do. That helps you actually build this greater network that you can spread a little bit more too. So there are other parts of you besides just the entrepreneur, just the author, just the business owner. So I like that. So Crystal, Marquise, who want to add?
I'll go.
All right.
So I think as we talk about the effects of mental health on, you know, entrepreneurship in you can definitely end up in the hospital. Like,
Wow.
your body will make you take a break. I'm speaking from experience. So a couple years ago, I was working my 9 to 5, and I was also building my business, the first one. And unfortunately, right? Like, which one? The longest standing one, the one that's about to be 10 years old. So
Nice.
I was, you know, working my 9 to 5. I was on a very, very, very stressful project. Like, I can't even really describe the level of stress. I missed my birthday. I missed a funeral. I missed hanging out. Yes. I missed a lot. Time out with friends. I missed sleep. Lots of sleep. And unfortunately, I had a tumor that grew that had to be surgically removed in an emergency. Like, I didn't know I had that, and went to the doctor because I was like, something's not right. I wasn't able to walk up the stairs. Like, somebody who's teaching like fitness classes all the time, I could not do the stairs. I was like, something is wrong. And the stairs saved my life. I tell people, take the stairs now, because I'm like, the stairs literally saved my life. That let me know, like, being out of breath from like the driveway to my front door, I was out of breath. And I was like, I just taught like 2 hours. Like, why am I out of breath trying to go up the stairs? That's what prompted me to go to the doctor. And that's when I went in, she was like, you're not leaving today. And that changed my perspective on being able to take care of myself. And I think for me, that taught me to unlearn a lot of unhealthy habits that I had learned that were also showing up in my business, like running to answer emails, feeling like I always had to be on. That's when some serious boundaries started to be put up. It's like, no, I can't do it. Actually, no is a complete sentence. And I don't have to tell you why. Just no. Like, so I think it's a lot of different things. But for me, definitely, I think, especially for those of us who transition into entrepreneurship from different industries where you might be maybe in a fast-paced environment, because that's where I was coming from, or that's what I was doing at the time, those bad habits I had learned. And honestly, I think everything does go back to childhood. Watching my mom work really, really hard, my dad, and like not feeling like they can't be off.
Come on now.
And always having to answer to people, and always taking extra work, always saying yes. And every time you say yes to someone else, you say no to yourself. But that got me in the hospital. And so from that point on, I took, you know, my mental health and my life a lot more seriously, because I could have literally not been here. Like, I was literally about to like bleed out and die. Like, that was how serious it was. So, you know, I thank God for the stairs. How many people say that?
Man, I'm gonna have to start saying that now. Take the stairs. No, that is so vulnerable and transparent that she shared that, because you can overperform. And that's what happened to Crystal. Thank you for sharing that. That is there. 𝗓𝗏𝗄𝗍, do you have anything to add on this one?
Oh, absolutely.
Yes, sir.
I definitely thank you for sharing that. Truly, the vulnerability. So that's one of the things. But the question was performance. Again, I have to say clarity, because one thing that I learned, I heard, I'm sure y'all have heard, you can be doing a lot of movement, but going in the wrong direction. So it's like, I'm moving, I'm working, I'm grinding. Yes, to what end though? And one of the things that Donald said, I mean, hit me like a ton of bricks. It's very personal to me. And Dr. McKenzie and Marvin, of course, y'all understand. As Black men, culturally, socially, as he said, we are trained to labor. We are not trained as Black men to think. We are not trained to create. We are trained to physically work. And I ain't gonna get into the reality of epigenetics and genes and DNA and all that, but we've inherited that. We've inherited working in the fields. We've inherited literally building America. Like, this is what we know, largely. So even though we're creative, it's taking that shift to lean into your creative God-given abilities over the sweat of your brow. Let me lean into the creative capabilities that I have. So when it comes to performance, that goes back to everything that was said. How is my mental health? How do I feel about myself? How am I seeing myself? Voices come out every time it's time to me to do a certain thing. So one, as Dr. McKenzie said, drinking water. Y'all might have seen this big, huge 64-ounce thing I got right here. This is what I drink. I drink more water. I work out consistently. I'm taking supplements. Do the research necessary to find what types of supplements you can take. You know what I'm saying? Like Brother Marvin said, hey, eat that bacon, at least every now and then, get it, so even realistically, even things like that, depriving yourself. Again, I believe in health. So if there is an occasion, hey, I'll eat a piece of bacon once a month. I'll do something that may not be so healthy at least once a month, because it's in that moderation. Those are the things that I found valuable. I love smooth jazz, so I listen to my smooth jazz to get my state, get myself cool. And I'm gonna be honest, again, I'm a believer, so I'm gonna say the right thing. And we all married and we adults, is having good sex. Having good sex puts you in a proper place. Realistically, we grown. I'm married. But having good sex puts me in a proper place. One, I feel good mentally, emotionally, and physically. And it raises the good endorphins and neurotransmitters in your body to be able to, I'm telling you, after I done got some, I done went, I'm hyped, turn on the camera, and I'm going in. But let's be real here. I got that good energy, I feel good, and I go and show up at a higher level. So I feel good, that everybody else gonna feel good.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to say that. It's true.
Let me tell you something, Dr. Jefferson. We're gonna have to come back. We'll have to have a sex conversation. We'll have to talk about endorphins. We'll have to No. I man, listen. That is real. Real talk. Sometimes I like to look up definitions and the words that you all were saying. I had to look it up, but when Dr. Jefferson gave me that part of that question, I had to actually look up the word performance. And I said, I know about sports, being in sports, being athletic, those type of things. And those days are over. I leave that to my kids and let them do all that they need to do. And there was a definition of performance, meaning the execution of an action. Like whatever that action is, I was taking it like this, whatever that action is that needs to be completed, do I have enough to make it through that, to execute it, to see it through the end? Like, do I have enough common sense? Well, we know sense is not common this day and time. Do I have enough sense to say no? Do I have enough sense to prepare it and write it out? I think 𝗁𝗏𝗄𝗍, you said this in that struggle. You was talking about your anxiety. And I think one of the greatest things when you are having things that you want to accomplish, nobody knows the processes of your anxiety through it all. Like being real with it. Like there are times, being transparent with you, there are times that I felt depressed. I'm executing. I feel like I'm executing. I'm giving everybody else what they wanted, what they deserve, what they needed. But then at the end, I'm like, I didn't get nothing out of that. And so I'm like feeling really bogged down. I'm feeling very, very empty. And I think many of us should really get to a place of performing well, because that is the ultimate goal at the end of what we're doing. Yes, we want to make money, but I do believe that if you build people, the money's part, all of those structures definitely will come. I think in panel one, Ms. Phelan, she was talking about doing therapy pro bono. So, this person that's being taught, that went to school all these years, having to do something because things, really wasn't in place. So it really affects our execution. It really affects our performance. And so I think everyone has received some great strategies to help us get through it all, and being real with ourselves as well. So, another thing, Crystal, once again, big shout out to you for that, like being vulnerable, telling us those different things. And I think if you get nothing else, we're going to have some t-shirts made later on. Take the stairs. Thank God for the stairs. Stairs saved my life. We're going to have this whole stair campaign. So we want everybody to do what they need to do. But listen, it is time for us. Once again, we're going to take a commercial break. And then once we come back, I believe Dr. Jefferson, she's going to join us as well. So stay tuned, everyone.
All right, welcome back, y'all. I am full, and not from eating. Yes, I did have lunch a little bit ago, and I will have dinner soon. But I am full, y'all, from the knowledge and the gems that these amazing expert panelists have dropped today. We can certainly go on and on and on, and we will continue the conversation. But for now, I definitely want you to connect with each and every one of our visionary panelists today. So special thanks once again. And actually, I'm going to bring all of them back on, and they're going to share a final nugget for each and every one of you. So stay tuned for that. But I would like to extend my gratitude once again to each of you, Marvin, Donald, Dr. Leroy, Marquise, Crystal, Tayana, Shamiko, and Shirley. And Crystal, I think I got everybody. And then also thank you to our amazing visionary sponsors, my amazing assistants, Charmaine and Danica, for stepping in and helping with the summit. But more importantly, I want to thank you. And that's each and every one of you under the sound of my voice who took the time out of your day. You could have been doing anything, and maybe you're going to catch the replay, and that's totally okay. But you took the time to get this good stuff, okay? You took the time to feed into yourself and continue to do that. But more importantly than just tuning in today, I want you to, and I think Marvin mentioned this word earlier, execute, okay? Knowledge without execution will not get you anywhere. So ensure that you take what our panelists have shared with you today and put it into action. And remember, you don't have to do it alone. So even if you're not struggling in your business and life endeavors at this time, that's great. That means now is the time to start getting help. Now is the time to connect yourself with others who are in the movement, who've been there, who have done that. Or even as 𝗠𝗵𝗂 shared earlier, connect with some non-entrepreneur buddies as well, okay? But whatever you do, don't do it alone. Just a few brief announcements before I bring our panelists back on. Book signing. We will be having a book signing on June 24th in Augusta, Georgia. That is actually for volume 2 of the Mental Cost of Entrepreneurship. Marvin actually is one of the contributing authors in this book, and I also share a snippet of my 10-year journey as a full-time entrepreneur in my chapter titled From Burnout to Breakthrough. So join us, mark your calendars for June 24th at Barnes & Noble in Augusta, Georgia. I definitely look forward to seeing many of you there. And if you're an entrepreneur and you're ready to share your story, hey, we're now accepting authors for volume 3. Unbelievable. So volume 3 of the Mental Cost of Entrepreneurship will be released later this year or in early 2024. But you can take advantage of the early bird promo now. So just drop an emoji in the comments or send us an email at info@𝗕𝗂𝗍𝗂𝗂𝗋.com. All right, y'all. Without further ado, I'm going to bring back on these amazing panelists, and we're going to give them 60 seconds or so to drop a final nugget of greatness with each and every one of you. And they will also share how you can connect directly with them. All right. So let's bring everyone back on here. And a few of the panelists did have to step away, but I'll make sure we share their information with you. Okay, I think I have everyone here. So let's start with Crystal, and then we'll go from there. I know I kind of put you on the spot, Crystal.
It's okay. So I guess my last piece of advice would just be to, I know we talked about a lot of different topics, but I think one thing that has gotten me through a lot is learning to celebrate failures, or don't look at things as failures, look at them as lessons. And so I think if something doesn't go your way, just think about what you learned, excuse me, versus that it didn't go well. So I always try to look at what I learned versus something that maybe didn't turn out the way that I thought. But you all can connect with me on Instagram at 𝗓𝗏_simply_she, on Facebook at 𝗓𝗏𝗏𝗍𝗍, and also LinkedIn at 𝗧𝗏𝗏.
Thank you so much, Crystal. All right, we'll move forward to Ms. 𝗠𝗵𝗂.
Hi. Yes, this has been great. So thanks for putting this on. It's been a pleasure with you all doing this summit. If I had any type of advice or anything to leave with you, the good thing about entrepreneurship or being the CEO, and my therapist gave me this one, you are the CEO, you are the entrepreneur, which means if I want to take today off, I can. I don't have to do anything. That's the good thing about being the boss. I can work at my own pay. So do whatever it is that works for you. But just know you have the power. It's not just making all the rules, but you have the power to say no. If you want to take 2 weeks off, then do it. But thank you again. I can be followed on Instagram at 𝗎𝗏𝗍𝗍𝗍𝗍, that's MINDZ17. Or you can find me on social media at 𝗠𝗵𝗂𝗍𝗏, a New Minds, MINDZ mentorship program, as well as you can catch my book on Amazon. It's The Lemon Spirit, Living, Coping, and Overcoming Anxiety. And it's my story about living with anxiety. So thank you so much.
Thank you, 𝗠𝗵𝗂. All right, Marvin, we're going to do you last. So let's go to our gentlemen that are here. Mr. 𝗕𝗏𝗄𝗍.
Awesome. Again, thank you, Mrs. Jefferson. Thank you, Shauna, for putting this together. I appreciate the opportunity. And to all the panelists, I learned a whole lot from y'all. I appreciate it. If I could leave any type of nuggets, it would be trust God, put your faith in Him and what He calls you to do. Love yourself because you matter. Absolutely. Learn what you need to learn in life and in business. Execute and have fun. And doing those things, it really relieves a lot of the stresses, you know. It really relieves a lot of the stresses. Yeah, it's gonna be work, it's gonna be difficult, but it's all up here, y'all. It's all up here. And you know how I know? Because I take cold showers. I take hot showers, but I end in the cold. And that shows me I'm willingly putting myself in cold water. Nobody's making me do this. As 𝗕𝗵𝗀𝗁 said, not only fasting from social media, fasting in real life. Yes, it's a spiritual discipline, but it's a physical discipline, but the root word is discipline. We are so powerful. So I want to leave with this. You can follow me on all social media platforms at 𝗕𝗂𝗁. Don't forget the E, 𝗕𝗂𝗁 Trent. You can follow me on Instagram, TikTok, things of that nature, Facebook. And I also have a brand new book for teenagers called Plan Maturity for Teens, the book adults wish they had when they were your age. It's at planmaturity.com. Planedmaturity.com. I love y'all. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Marquise. And of course, always giving us a giggle as well. I love it. All right. Let's bring on Mr. Donald to share his closing thoughts with each of you today.
Yeah. My closing remarks is I like the remarks that Marquise made. Have sex, a lot of it. I mean, spank it, rub it, whatever you got to do, but have sex in the way that brother said. That's the highlight of my day. Listen, I'm Donald Morton. I'm the Chief Visionary Officer of Remand. We help Black men interrupt patterns, disrupt behaviors, break the vicious cycles of missed potential so that those brothers can transform their own lives, their sense of leadership to family, and their sense of legacy to business and culture. You can catch me at Real Don Morton or go to our website, www.remand.info. If there is a particular thing that I would like to say to every business owner is, it makes me nervous when coaches don't have a coach. It makes me nervous when business owners don't have anyone that helps them through the challenges that they have. Get a therapist, make sure you have a coach, and make sure that you, as Black entrepreneurs in particular, don't ask for the hookup. Pay someone else's price in the same way that you want someone to pay your price. Don't tell me who you are over until you can tell me who you're under. Who are you submitted to? Who is it that is pouring into you? Because believe it or not, it's going to be necessary for your entrepreneurial journey. So thank you, sis, for allowing me to be a part. This has been incredible. And have a whole lot of sex.
Thank you so much, Mr. Donald. Okay, so we're going to jump to Dr. Leroy, and then we'll conclude with Mr. Marvin.
Absolutely. This has been phenomenal, 𝗕𝗁. I love this. This has been something that's needed. I think that it's something that is going to make people better. For those that have listened to me, they know my mission, my purpose is to make you better by the end of the year than you were at the beginning of the year. And we do that by taking the time to look at ourselves from a mental perspective. We talk about our physical health and all of the other health, but if we don't check our mental health, none of those other things matter. So check your mental health this year. Make sure that you're healthy mentally, because there is a cost to being an entrepreneur. It's a cost, but you're able to handle that cost if you're properly prepared for it. If you properly prepare for it, that means being properly healthy, being properly, as Donald said, having someone that you can talk to, who's in your circle of impact. Who is that you can talk to? Doctors need doctors, y'all. Mm-hmm. Doctors need doctors. Teachers have teachers that they get taught from. Even even Michael Jordan had a teacher. His name was Dean Smith. Even Kareem Abdul-Jabbar had a teacher, John Wooden. So even as great as they were, they still had someone to teach, and they had an understanding of what it was going to cost them to be able to be who it was and who it is that they are. Same thing with us as entrepreneurs. There's a cost to it, but when you have someone that can show you how to navigate those costs, you'll come out being better. So thank you again, Shana.
Thank you so much, Dr. Leroy. All right, so last but not least, my co-moderator for today, Mr. Marvin, drop your closing thoughts with the audience.
Let's go home. No, that's it. No, you could tell we all grew up in church somehow, some way. I want to share this sentence I wrote down from everyone. Take the time to grow, learn, and transform into your best self. Take the time to grow, learn, and transform into your best self. There's so much more to us than what people may see, so much more to us than what we may put on the website, so much more to us by all the content that we may put out there as well. Most importantly, the way soon to be Dr. Jefferson is putting it out there is a mental cost of entrepreneurship. Don't let it break you, but let it make you. Let you be able to create all the change that you need to. And so to even connect with me, I have a website that goes to the different links that's connected to me, 𝗓𝗄𝐻.com. Kind of like a whole sentence. 𝗓𝗄𝐻. That's what it is. 𝗓𝗄𝐻.com. Mostly I'm probably on Instagram more than anything. So that's at 𝗚McQueen, the number 2. At 𝗚McQueen2, and you'll probably find that on all the social media platforms. And so once again, I'm thankful. But listen, take the time to grow, learn, and transform into your best self. Thank you.
Wow, what an amazing lineup of panelists today. And of course, gosh, I can say so much, but I decided to actually share this with you. And this is the conclusion to my chapter in The Mental Cost of Entrepreneurship, Volume 2. And that is, tune in. Are y'all listening? So for each and every one of you under the sound of my voice today, I want you to tap into your unstoppable entrepreneur spirit and combine that with your unshakable faith, mental fortitude, unwavering resilience, and divine connections to manifest your God ordained vision. Thank y'all so much for joining us today. As always, I'm your host, 𝗓𝗄 A. Jefferson. You can connect with me on all platforms at 𝗓𝗄 A. Jefferson, and I'll see y'all on the other side. Love and greatness. Bye.